Hi, I'm Brock Archer with Advanced Extrication. Welcome to our Extrication Minutes video on fire engineering every Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about dash displacement. Specifically, we'll talk about how to evaluate the vehicle to determine whether the vehicle is a good candidate for a dash lift where we jack the dash with the spreaders, or for a dash roll where we use the ram to roll the dash off the occupant. We want to be able to evaluate the vehicle based on the vehicle's construction features, what the accident has done to the vehicle, and even what we've done to the vehicle during maybe door removal or roof removal. All these things need to be considered when we're trying to determine whether or not the vehicle is best suited for a dash lift evolution or a dash roll. So one of the first things that we want to look at is the location of the strut tower. Now, in an incident where dash displacement is required, the tire will often be located underneath the occupant or underneath the floor pan of the vehicle due to the front end damage from the collision. But we want to look at that strut tower and we want to determine whether or not we have enough room between the strut tower and the windshield to make a cut. That's going to give us an indication as to whether jacking the dash is going to be effective. If we can't make that cut, then we can't separate the lower rail from the upper rail, and we will then be trying to lift the suspension, the engine, and all of the steering components of the vehicle. So let's take a look at that upper rail and let's see if we can make a cut between the strut tower and the windshield. If the strut tower is located too close to the windshield, then the vehicle is probably not a good candidate for a lifting or jacking the dash evolution, and we're probably going to want to use the ram instead. So let's take a look at this vehicle's strut location. On this Lexus, you can see that the strut tower is located too close to the windshield to make a complete cut in the upper rail and separate the upper rail from the lower rail. In this case, if we tried to do a jacking the dash operation on this vehicle, we would have a hard time with it because we'd be lifting up the suspension and the engine and all of the other components. Now, it may be what we want. We may want to move the suspension and all of the engine off of the occupant in the case of a recovery or something where we've got significant entry into that passenger compartment. But most of the time, we're just looking for a few inches to free that occupant. So let's take a look at that strut tower and its proximity to the windshield and evaluate that before we start our operation. Now with the door removed, we can evaluate the lower A-pillar and determine again whether or not this vehicle is best suited for a dash roll or a lifting the dash, jacking the dash evolution. So when we come in to do our door removal on the hinge side of a vehicle where dash displacement is required, it's always best practice to cut these hinges. When we use the spreaders to remove the door, we often create damage to this lower A-pillar. When we damage this lower A-pillar, it's susceptible to crushing or peeling out or pushing in when we do our dash displacement with the spreaders down low as we jack the dash. So we want to evaluate this area for any damage from the collision or from our spreaders when we've opened the door. We also want to look at, do we have enough room down low below the hinge or in the hinge area to make our double cut to insert our spreaders at the proper spreader angle. Of course, our spreaders don't open straight out. They open in an arch shape. So we want to make sure that when we insert our spreaders into our opening at the bottom of our A-pillar, that they come in at about this angle. We don't want to come in parallel to the ground. If we do that, when we open our spreaders, the pillar has a tendency to peel out away from the vehicle. So we want to maintain that proper spreader angle. These are two simple things that we can do to evaluate a vehicle and determine whether or not it's a good candidate for a jacking the dash or lifting the dash evolution, or if we need to use a ram to push the dash. Thanks for watching our Extrication Minutes video. I'm Brock Archer with Advanced Extrication. Be sure to check out the website, advancedextrication.com. Take care and be safe.